Hello students, let's continue the second part of lesson number 7, that is understanding marginalization. In the earlier video we have seen how the forest laws, how the government policies it change the life of Adivasi people. So let's continue. Losing their lands and access to the forest means that tribals lose their main source of livelihood and food. So when that Adivasi people they have lost their lands and access to the forest, and it means कि these tribal people, these Adivasi people, they lose their main source of livelihood and food, because these people they will depend upon forest and forest products. So when these people they have I think so deprived from their forest, so because of that they lost their basic food or livelihood. Having gradually lost access to their traditional homelands, many Adivasis have migrated to cities in search of work, where they are employed for very low wages in local industries or at building or construction sites. So when these people, these Adivasi people, these tribal people, they deprived from the forest. So for the sake of work, they migrated to cities, and also they worked there on very low wages, and they worked on local in local industries or at building or at construction sites. These people they work. They thus get caught in a cycle of poverty and deprivation. So they caught in the cycle of poverty, they become poor and they become deprived. 45% of tribal groups in rural areas and 35% in urban areas they live below the poverty line. So 45% of the people in rural areas and 35% of the people in urban areas, these people they live under poverty line, below poverty lines. I mean these people are too much below sorry, too much poor. So because of that also they cannot fulfill their basic needs. This leads to deprivation in other areas. Many tribal children are malnourished. Literacy rate among tribal are also very low. So many children of that Adivasi family or that tribal group, these children are malnourished. Malnourished means because of lack of nutrient food. So these people or these children they will not get such basic foods or the nutrients food for their children. So because of that the children they are malnourished. Literacy rate is also very low in the tribal group. When Adivasis are displaced from their lands, they lose much more than a source of income. So when these people they deprived or they displaced from the land, so also they lost their source of income. They lose their traditions and customs, a way of living and being. They took our farming land. They left some houses. They took the cremation ground, temple, well, and pond. How will we survive? So one of the tribal person, one of the tribal man who have been affected because of that policy or because of that forest laws or because of some uh, uh, powerful people, powerful industrialist, they forcefully they captured the land of the Adivasis. So because of that, one of the tribal man, that is Govinda Maran, he is saying ki how we can survive when our all the earning resources have been means caught by the other people who was displaced due to a refinery project in Odisha. So due to refinery projects in Odisha, that Govinda he has been displaced from his land. As you have read, there exists an interconnectedness between the economic and social dimensions of tribal life. So when because of that forest no, so tribal people they had their economic and social dimensions with the help of that forest. Destruction in one sphere naturally impacts the other. Often, this process of disposition and displacement can be painful and violent. So, this process of disposition and displacement it was very painful and violent to the tribal people. So, Let's continue next topic, that is minorities and marginalization. That is minorities and marginalization. In unit number 1, you read that the constitution provides safeguard to religious and linguistic minorities as part of our fundamental rights. What is minority? So you can say minority, it means small in number. Okay, small in number. So all of we have seen in lesson number 1 key our constitution, it provides safeguards to religious and linguistic minorities, means the people who are small in number in religion and linguistic in language. So these people have provided safeguards as their fundamental rights. Why do you think these minority groups have been provided these safeguards? The term minority is most commonly used to refer to communities that are numerically small in relation to the rest of the population. So actually minority, that term is used, or that word is used to the people or to the community which is smaller in number as per compared to the rest of the population. However, it is a concept that goes well beyond number. It encompasses issues of power, access to resources, and has social and cultural dimension. So what will happen if the safeguard will be not provided to them? So that time the community which is large in number, they will try to force them, they will try to harass them. So because of that, to have equal access to resource or to issue the power, so that time that safeguards has been provided to the minority community. As you read in unit number 1, the Indian constitution recognized that the culture of the majority influence the way in which society and government might express themselves. So also we have seen that the majority, they will influence the way as they want. So as they want, they will I think so use their power because they are large in number. So because of that also it will face the problem. In such cases, size can be a disadvantage and lead to the marginalization of the relatively smaller communities. So it will make the disadvantage, so cases, or the size can be made a disadvantage and lead to the marginalization of the relatively smaller communities. So relatively smaller communities, or the what is minorities communities, they will be marginalized if they will be not protected. Thus, safeguards are needed to protect minority communities against the possibility of being culturally dominated by the majority. So because of that, the safeguards has to be provided to the minority group. Ki the majority group, they will not dominate on the minority. They also protect them against any discrimination and disadvantage that they may face. So maybe because of smaller in number, because of their diversity, they will face the problem of discrimination, or they will face the disadvantages. So because of that, to avoid that problems, because of that, to protect them from these problems, the safeguards has to be provided to the minority group. Given certain conditions, communities that are small in number relative to the rest of society may feel insecure in their lives. So also we can say that the people who are small in number, they will feel insecure in their lives, in the society, assets and well-being. This sense of insecurity may get sorry accentuated if the relation between the minority and majority communities are fraught. So, if the relationship between majority and minority, it will fraught and it will create problem. So that time the people who are smaller in number, minority people, they will be stressed. So here you can say accentuated means stressed, or they will face the problem. They will be harassed. The Constitution provides these safeguards because it is committed to protecting India's cultural diversity and promoting equality as well as justice. So why the Constitution, it provides safeguards to the minority community? Because Constitution, it tries to protect India's cultural diversity and also it tries to promote equality and justice to all the people equally. As we have already read in chapter number 5, the judiciary plays a crucial role in upholding the law and enforcing fundamental rights. Every citizen of India can approach the courts if they believe that their fundamental rights have been violated. So, if any citizen of the country, if that person feel ki his fundamental rights has been violated, his fundamental rights has been broken, so that time that person can approach to the court, and court it try to give justice to the people, or that person who has approached to the court. Now let us understand marginalization in the context of the Muslim community. So we need to take one example of a Muslim community because it is a marginalized community. So to know more about what is minority, let's take the example of this one. So Muslims and marginalization. According to 2011 census, Muslims are 14.2% of India's population and are considered to be a marginalized community. So, as per the 2011 record, 14.2 people are there from Muslim community in India today. Because it comparison to other communities, they have over the years been deprived of the benefits of socio-economic development. So as per compared to other communities, these communities are deprived from their socio and economic developments. The data in the three tables below, derived from different sources, indicates the situation of the Muslim community with regards to basic amenities, literacy, and public employment. So, when we think about the Muslim community's basic amenities, their literacy, and their public employment, so whatever data has been given in three different tables, so with the help of these data, we can know कि Muslim community it is deprived from their basic needs, basic amenities, literacy, and public employment. So let's try to read the given tables here. No, in the first table, here it is given about the basic amenities. So when we try to compare the data, so here no Muslim community it shows very less, it has very less basic amenities or basic needs. So here you can see this one, this record it is showing. So Hindus it is they have a pakka house, 65.4, electricity and tap water. So as per compared to other religion, Muslim religion it is very, it has very less record. So next, when we think about sorry, next table. So literacy rate also very low literacy rate is there in Muslim community, and in public employment also we can see very few people are there in the public employment. Next, what to do these figures convey? Not sorry, this one, this is not a subtopic. This is the only about this figure conveys that ki Muslim community, this community is deprived from the socio-economic development. Recognizing that Muslims in India were lagging behind in terms of various development indicators. So, as per the indicators which are useful for the development, so in that indicators, we recognize that Muslim in India they are lagging behind the terms. The government set up a high level committee in 2005. In the 2005, government set up one committee chaired by Justice Rajinder Sachar. The committee examined the social, economic, and educational status of the Muslim community in India. So that committee it studied, it examined about the economics, educational status of the Muslim community in India. The report discusses in detail the marginalization of this community. It suggests that on a range of social, economic, and educational indicators, the situation of the Muslim community is comparable to that of other marginalized communities like scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So earlier we have marginalized communities like scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So as per their economic and educational indicators, the committee has reported the report कि Muslim community is also like that other marginalized communities. For example, according to the report, the average years of schooling for Muslim children between the age of 7 to 16 is much lower than that of other socio-religious communities. So, as per other socio-religious communities, 7 to 16 years of old children, very less children they go to the school. Economic and social marginalization experienced by Muslims has other dimensions as well. Like other minorities, Muslims' customs and practices are sometimes quite distinct from what is seen as the mainstream. So, when we think about the other customs and practices, so these practices and customs of Muslims, they are different as per compared to other mainstream. All Muslims may wear a burqa, sports a long beard, wear a fez, and these become ways to identify all Muslims. So when we see about a lady or a woman who has worn a burqa, or the man who has sported a long beard, also who has worn a fez, so these are the indicators that anyone can easily identify Muslim. Because of this, they tend to be identified differently, and some people think they are not like the rest of us. So when the people they look at them, so that time some of the people they think these people are not like rest of us. Often this becomes an excuse to treat them unfairly and discriminate against them. Do you remember reading in your class ki in 7th standard we have seen ki Ansari he was finding very difficult to get a house or to rent a house. This social marginalization of Muslims in some instances has led to them migrating from places where they have lived, often leading to the ghettoization of the community. Sometimes this prejudice leads to hatred and violence. So also we have seen ki most of the Muslim people they led to migrate themselves from the other places. Also they have lived means wherever they live. Also it leads to them to live to the ghettoization. What is ghettoization? What is ghettoization? Ghettoization it is a place where one community it try to live on that particular place only, or the marked area or the marked place which is indicator of a particular that community. In the above section of this chapter, we saw how, in the case of the Muslim community, there is a link between economic and social marginalization. But when we think about Muslim community, so when means we have to see how the case of the Muslim community it have the link between economic and social marginalization. Earlier in this chapter, you read about the situation of Adivasis. In your class 7th book, you read about the unequal status of women in India. The experience of all these groups point to the fact that marginalization is a complex phenomenon requiring a variety of strategies, measures, and safeguards to redress the situation. So everywhere, no marginalization, it is a complex phenomenon. To avoid that marginalization, there should be some variety of strategies, measures, and safeguards to avoid that situation. All of us have to stake in protecting the rights defined in the Constitution and the laws and policies framed to realize these rights. So here also we need to have a stake in the protecting the rights defined in the Constitution. So whatever rights has been given in the Constitution and the laws and policies framed to realize that all of we have to aware about these laws and policies. Without these, we will never be able to protect the diversity that makes our country unique, nor realize the state's commitment to promote equality for all. So, if because of that the constitution has provided safeguards to the minority people or to marginalized people or the community. So, if that constitution has not provided these rights or that laws, so that time the diversity which we see the diversity it is the strength of our India. So that time the people will not be able to protect the diversity, and also the states will not promote the equality for all. So here the chapter is over. So in the conclusion part we have seen ki in the lesson we have seen about the uh, me understood ki what it means to be a marginalized community, what is a marginalized community. We have seen, we have tried to look at this through the experience of different marginalized communities, that is Adivasis and also Muslims. There are different reasons for each of these communities being marginalized. So there are some different reasons why these Adivasis or these Muslim or other marginalized communities, these are marginalized. They have different issues, they have different reasons. Each experiences marginalization in different ways. We have also seen that marginalization is linked to experiencing disadvantage, prejudice, and powerlessness. In India, there are several more marginalized communities like Dalit, of whom we are going to read more in the next chapter. Marginalization results in having a low social status and not having equal access to education and other resources. So marginalization communities, marginalization people, they have a very low social status in the society. Also they are not having any equal access to education and other resources. So here the lesson is over. So in this lesson we have studied about the, we have understood the marginalization. Okay, thank you.